And good afternoon, folks. Tom Sinclair here with that VidBlaster guy on Tuesday, November 13th. I'm delighted to be here, all in one piece. Hooray. And glad you're here with us. If you're here watching live today or you're seeing us later on Skype, that's great. If you're watching us later on YouTube, we'd love to have you come join us live. We're live every Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock UK, London time, and we go for about an hour, and you can join us in the chat room and send messages and questions to us, and hopefully we can give you some really good answers. If you're watching live and you're not in the chat room yet, by all means join us in the chat and chime in and let us know what you think of the show, and if you have some questions. I talked to Ken in pre-show, Ken Fisbeck, who's our guest today. It's going to be a really great show, and he's going to hang around for a few minutes after this recorded show, and we'll put together a little quick Zoom session. So if you've got your video on, you can join us in a kind of a video chat after the regular show. Never done it before, just a spur of the moment kind of thing, and so we'll see how it goes. One of the really cool things about VidBlaster is that everything that goes on behind the scenes with VidBlaster is not really behind the scenes. Whenever there's a new beta version of VidBlaster, it's not distributed to a limited number of beta users. It's distributed to anybody that wants to look at it. And that happens, well, whenever there's a new feature, whenever there's some bug fixes. Version 2.09, which was up until recently, was the official release version of VidBlaster. It was the official release version for a year, and there were, 16, 17, 18 different versions, beta versions of VidBlaster, and then version 2.27 came out. 2.27 is, or at least was, the latest beta, and now it is the release of VidBlaster, and it has all the cool stuff in it. It's got slow motion replay, it's got RTMP in, it's got, you just have to go to the website and see vidblaster.com and drop down and download it there. Version 2.27. You can also go to the VidBlaster forum. In fact, there's a great community of users there at forum.vidblaster.com. And if you're not a member of the forum, sign in. It doesn't cost you anything. And you can ask questions, and there's some really skilled folks like me and some others that will try to help you with your answers. If you're thinking about building a PC, or will this camera work with VidBlaster, those kind of questions, probably somebody out there has already tried to do that. And so maybe they have a good answer for you. That's forum.vidblaster.com. We welcome you to the forum. I am really excited and delighted by my guest today, Ken Fisbeck of Spur Radio in Valentine, Nebraska, of all places. Somehow his name and what he's doing crossed my path a couple of weeks back. And I think I emailed him out of the blue and said, hey, would you be interested in coming on this show? And I could tell immediately that he was a very gracious and generous person, because he said, sure, I'd love to anytime. And so last week I said, okay, maybe this is the time for Ken, and I shot him a quick email, and he said, yeah, I'd love to come on. And Ken is doing so many different things with VidBlaster and with internet broadcasting. We're not going to be able to fit them all into the show today. We're going to definitely have to get him back. But with no further ado, let me bring Ken in to the show. Let's see if I've got the right signal here. And Ken, are you there?
I'm here, Tom. Good to see you.
And we've got audio. Good deal. Yes, indeed. I count Ken among my new fast friends, and delighted to have him on the show with us today. Ken is got a unique background, I guess is the best way to do it. And I'm not going to steal your thunder, Ken, but you got to tell us, how in the world did where you were end up with internet broadcasting? I mean, where did you come from, and when did internet broadcasting get on your radar? You got to tell us the story. You told me the story earlier, and I want to hear it again.
I guess, Tom, accidents happen more or less. You know, clear back in the late 80s and early 90s. I started out as a DJ, doing sock hops and, your proms, your weddings and stuff with the company back in the day. And heck, we'd set up a light show and all that, and we'd stretch clear across. When we set our lights and our sound up, we'd go clear across the end of a basketball court.
Oh.
A lot of DJs back then would set up, and they'd set up on a table and put their little mixer and stuff like that. Where our motto was, is we'd take that table that other DJs use and put it behind us and use it for our music. Because back then, you still had the 33s and the 45s. You didn't even have CD players back then when we first started. We were still spinning records. So,
oh, my goodness.
And I just always had a love for DJing and radio, but I just never really got into it as a profession. And then, back in 2008, I guess, that's when I decided that, I was working at Young's Western Wear here, and that's where Spur Radio broadcasts out of. We broadcast out of Spur Radio, or out of Young's Western Wear, excuse me. And I pitched the idea one day to my boss. I said, you know what? That's when internet radio was getting it going. We need to start our own radio station or internet radio station, and do our own advertising and promotions right on our own radio station right here in the store. And he goes, you know how to do it? And I said, absolutely, we can get her done. I didn't have a clue, like I said. I went on and started learning because I knew I had 2 weeks to get the equipment here to get it figured out. And, it's basically the same. It's just learning how to get it digitalized and send it out, and once I had that figured out and I had the software, I use Sam Broadcaster. I still use it as my DJ software because we stream 24/7 the radio still. So that was kind of the background how it got started.
That's amazing. And you also had the same experience when you went to work for the Western Wear Company, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I caught a little white lie, maybe. I don't know. I came to work here, I think it was 2000, into 2002, started 2003, and they were just getting their website up and going, discountwesternwear.com. And I came in because I was looking for somebody, and I said, well, let me take care of that. Let me get the products loaded, let me get everything out there, and take care of your website for you. And he says, sounds good. You start in 2 weeks. And I says, see you in 2 weeks. I went home for the next 2 weeks and studied up on doing websites so I could, when I got to work, I didn't look like an idiot, I guess, and got her figured out. And it's been a good haul. I mean, I love it here. And heck, we ship worldwide now, Discount Western Wear. We ship to we ship a lot to Australia, United Kingdom, and the neat thing about it, get a little plug here, no matter how much you order on discountwesternwear.com, it's $11.95 shipping. So you can order boots, shirts, and a saddle. We'll ship it to you, continental USA, for $11.95. There, that was my radio pitch.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And folks at home, I don't think we can get it all on the camera, but behind Ken is a big banner with a quote from the New York Times that says that they are the purveyor of all things cowboy. So we're not talking about any little small outfit here, even though it's Valentine, Nebraska. We're talking about an international e-commerce site.
It's pretty cool. It's a third generation store here in Valentine, Nebraska, and it's 20,000 square feet of showroom, and it's in a town of 2,800 people. I mean, we're out here in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we just got cell phones, a month ago, not on internet.
You got a little squirrel cage doing the internet, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, all right. So you got into some radio broadcasting on behalf of the store.
Yep.
And then when did video kind of come on to the scene? How did that happen?
I would say I came across Ustream. I think most people seems to be that's how they get started in it, and that's that was basically where I found it, and I got started. And I said, you know what better way to show products or and stuff like that is add video to my radio. And me and my boss Mike Young, there's a few YouTube. Wait, don't go look at them though. The man way back then they were pretty bad, but. We'd get on there and we'd do the Mike and Ken show, and new products had come up, and we'd put new boots in front of us and talk about them, leather soles, rubber soles, crepe soles, whether they're ostrich or whatever, and we'd showcase our new products that we got into the store, and you could get them by calling the 800 number or go to discountwesternwear.com and pick them up. So it was just we use it as a promotional tool. So that's where video started coming into it, I would say probably within a year.
And so you guys just had a camera, and you were standing in front of the camera, and you were hooked up to Ustream, and away you went.
Yep, I had one GL2 Canon,
Okay.
And it was just something that we had here at the store, and picked it up on eBay. Kind of, I looked for the deal too, Tom. I found it on eBay and didn't pay full price for it, but it's that's just the way it works. When you're in this kind of business and making it work, you got to save the dime where you can.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. All right. And so then, what precipitated the next step? I mean, you got a camera, you got Ustream, you're showing boots. Life is good. What was you thinking that made you take the
Well,
next step?
I guess it's Young's Western. You got to realize, it's been here forever, and the rodeo circuit, um, they've got to come through Valentine's sooner or later. It's weird. There's a lot of rodeos. They're going to Rapid City, dropping down into Kansas City, Oklahoma, going to Canada. That's a path through Valentine. And more people were logged in, and I just started researching rodeos. And there's still to this day not many people, I don't think, webcasting at all besides me, that I've seen doing a full rodeo like a TV production. And that's where I started searching. I was using Ustream, and they've got their Producer Pro or whatever that was. But it was just hard to switch from camera to camera. I had one camera, and you can't do everything, get all your shots with one camera
Right.
when you're in a whole rodeo arena. So I just started searching, and boom, I was looking at TriCaster, and I didn't have the money to spend on the TriCaster, and I came across VidBlaster, and started researching it and checking things out, and kept going from there. And that's just how it happened, I guess. And then we got into the rodeo side of things.
All right. Well, you just took
Narrowed it.
Yeah, yeah. You just like, and we got into VidBlaster, and life was great. But
It was in the show, Tom. It was great being on.
No. We can't do that. We can't do that. I mean, you've got too many cool details of what went on with you guys. I got to look back through my notes. Tell me, what was the first rodeo that you streamed?
Actually, the first rodeo I streamed was a little over a year ago. Yeah, and it was just a county fair here in Valentine, Nebraska, an amateur rodeo. I went up and got the local DJ here on the radio station that called some rodeos, and we went out there with one camera, and I think might have used Wirecast then. I still didn't know about VidBlaster a little over a year ago. I know it's a bad name. Trust me, I didn't use it long. And and so we just went out. We set up the camera. I didn't have no commercials, no graphic overlays, and we did it. And I was, for an amateur rodeo, we had people logging on watching with no really advertising or promotion. They found it, and I think mostly people calling back home said, "Hey, we're on live. You go to spurradio.com." is how they came, people that were there calling family and whatever. And that's how it went. And it just started building from there, I guess. And then once you get that niche, you see, wow, there's something here. Like me, I go home, and like my wife says, she goes to bed and I go to the computer and I start searching and figuring out ways to make it better. And that's just where it all started.
Now you did a college rodeo last spring.
Yep. Last April, we got called, and that was my first live broadcast with VidBlaster, believe it or not. So
Okay.
I'm just a newbie, so don't think I got all the knowledge. I still watch that VidBlaster guy and figure out everything. So
Yeah, well.
But we did the University of Nebraska's rodeo, and it was a 3-day event. And they asked how much it would cost, blah, blah, blah. We shot them a price, and they said, let's do it. They were a little the president of the rodeo club was a little worried. That's a lot of money to put out to do a live webcast. But they are also talking to RFD-TV at the time, which is a television station, trying to figure that out. And well, we went down, we got the bid, and we broadcast it. And by the last night, believe it or not, they said it was the best rodeo, the biggest attendance they ever had at the rodeo. And I think the dean of the college came and couldn't get to the rodeo arena. He had to sit out and watch it on the television in the floor area.
Oh, wow, because it was sold out.
And we were just overwhelmed how it took off. And the best thing about it, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about, getting your face out there. Best thing to me was the emails I was getting from mom out in California that hasn't seen her daughter for 9 months because she's away to Nebraska to college. and she got to see her on spurradio.com. And the neat thing about it was we'd take a little bloggy, HD Sony bloggy, and we'd go up to these contestants and have them do a little shout out. Say, hi, this is such and such. I'm a barrel racer from Wichita, Kansas. Want to tell everybody home back. And we actually interviewed her. And to me, that made it worth it right there. You know, it just gives you goosebumps knowing that you can let grandma or mom or dad see their kid running the rodeo that they wouldn't be able to without the internet or without the webcast. So then it even gets bigger. Then then the bug and you really want to do it more then.
Right.
So.
And what was your next step after that?
Well, the next step is, we decide, okay, there's, on that event there, they just had a laptop out there, and they were streaming our video and then going to the big screen so they could watch it. And I go, there's got to be something else. Well, with VidBlaster, you got the video out and everything. So we put in, by the way, one of your earlier guests, I should Ed with High Tech Stream Breeze. You did an interview with him.
Ed
I
Griswold.
use a Stream Breeze. That's who I got it from. So I want to give him a plug and tell everybody, if you need a good computer, you need to call Ed. He'll take care of you. But anyway, it's got the video out. So I come out of the High Density Pro. It's a Blackmagic that's in the Stream Breeze. I take it HDMI out into a converter that switches it down to my video switcher, which is an RGB component. And then I can come off with 4 TVs off of that video amplifier, basically. And I set up 2 55-inch big screen plasma TVs so people there can also watch the action as we're actually streaming it.
Very cool. Very cool. And I understand that you got a Tom Sinclair deal on these TVs too. Is that right?
It was the best Tom Sinclair deal you've ever seen. I mean, it was, like I said, they were $1,000 TVs, and I accidentally picked them up for like $399 a piece.
Ooh. That is too good. That is too good. Yeah.
But that's what I do. I look for TVs, believe it or not, for 8 months before I got that deal. That's how much I look. That's why I'm like you a lot, Tom. It took me 8 months to find the right deal to get it bought.
Right. You got to be patient.
There you go.
That's right. Well, which rodeo was it where you guys were, where I think you streamed the rodeo for free, and you also, it was barrel racing. It was barrel racing.
Barrel racing is what's turned me into it's bigger than actually the rodeos right now.
All right, now for all those folks out there that don't have a clue what a rodeo is and would not be able to distinguish it from barrel racing, give us a little background on the sports.
Okay. Well, in rodeo, you have a lot of different events. You have your tie-down roping, where one guy ropes a calf, jumps off his horse, ties the legs together, and he's got and it's all a timed event. You got bull riding, bronc riding, saddle bronc riding, and you also do have some barrel racing in that.
Okay.
But a barrel racing like the WPRA, which is the Women's Professional Rodeo Association, it's in like I do the videos I do or the broadcasting I do is for barrelbash.com. That is all just barrel racing. And barrel racing, they go a cloverleaf pattern around 3 trash cans, basically, 2 left turns or 2 right turns in a left, or if they go the other way, 2 right turns and a left. You got to turn both ways with your horse, and it's just barrel racing. So that is the difference between the two, I guess.
And they're riding a horse. That's it.
Riding a horse.
Riding a horse.
Not
okay.
Wheelers.
This is not. They're not running. They're not.
Right.
Not motorcycles. These are animals they're riding. Yes. Okay.
You got it.
For those of us that live in like the state of Alabama, riding horses is not something that's a way of life. We don't think Western very much out here. But barrel racing out there would be like any other sport. I mean, it would be a commonplace sport for you to have your children involved in, like Little League Baseball. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. Actually, they have we did the WPRA World Finals they got the junior division where kids are actually running as well. So it's a pretty good deal.
All right, well, tell us the story about the barrel racing event where you had the TV set up and you were recording barrel races in 10 race segments.
What I did was it was at the bonus race finals, and this is where a lot of barrel racing producers around the country come together. You got to, they all put on these events all over the United States, these producers, and if you qualify, you qualify then come April for the bonus race finals, and that's what we did. And I went out there, and I didn't do it. I went out there with no pay. So my only pay, I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to make some money on this? Well, the gals they want to watch the rerun of their runs. So what I would do is my wife would sit next to me and have a computer, and I would record with the record module and stop it after about every 10 runs and save it. Then I would send that over to her on her computer. Gals would come over, and she had the TV set up in front of the laptop. The gals would come over and say, hey, I want to watch run number 75 and on Friday to see my run. And she's okay. They'd pay her $5 and they'd watch the run. And that's how we made our cash that weekend. I don't know how many runs we sold, and I actually sold DVDs. We gave them a deal. If they put $5, if they bumped it to 20, then I would send them a DVD of all their runs. And covered my expenses, let's put it that way.
and yeah, I understand. Okay, very good. Yep, and it was a cash deal. That's right.
There you go, all cash. Yep.
Outstanding. And now, folks at home, if I can digress for just a second, if you're thinking, okay, it doesn't have to be barrel racing. It can be youth soccer. It can be baseball. It can be football. It can be tennis. Anything that parents have their children involved in. Heck, it could even be chess, I guess. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But there's some opportunities there. So check with your local recreation leagues and find out who the president is or the chairman and say, hey, let's make a deal. Well, I'll give you 50% of whatever I get, and let us come in and stream whatever sport, whatever games the folks want, because there's grandma and grandpa or dad who's serving overseas or mom who's serving overseas that would really like to watch the game. And what's a Benjamin? What's a C note if dad can watch it overseas? I mean, it's a no-brainer. So there are tremendous opportunities there. Sorry about that, Ken.
You're absolutely right. You know, the limit, it's unlimited, I should say, with what you can do with internet webcasting and VidBlaster. I mean, I'm learning new things, every day on what I can do.
Right.
And kudos goes out to Mike in producing this software, because wow, that guy's not getting enough credit for the software he made. Let's put it that way.
Well, it is pretty astounding. Yes, it is. All right, now tell me about these World Championship rodeos that you were doing. Give me some of the stories behind that.
It wasn't a rodeo, I should say. It was the Women's Professional Rodeo Association.
Okay.
It was their World Finals.
I got you.
And this is the top-notch barrel racers in the world. I mean, a lot of them, their main goal is to make it to the National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas, which is also coming up December 3rd. But they also, the women's side of things, have their own World Finals. And they contacted me to see if I would go broadcast it, because I was the only video producer out there that could offer multi-cameras.
So they called you.
They called me.
Your name is out there. I mean, when people are thinking about broadcasting, internet broadcasting of rodeos, Ken Fisbeck is the name that people are thinking of. That's way cool. That is great.
That gave me goosebumps right there, Tom. Well, and I should say, I put my dues together too, or I made my work, because 2 years prior I was at their WPRA World Finals and I broadcast it live, but I only did it audio. So I called it. So my name was out there.
Okay.
They knew about it, and then they had also, all these gals that are with the WPRA go to these other barrel races that I went and did too. So my name got out through all that. But yeah, they seen what I did, and especially the bonus race finals back in April was when I did the first multi-camera with barrel racing.
And you couldn't have done multi-camera without VidBlaster.
No, I couldn't have. No, not without buying a video production truck or spending $30,000 on something else.
Right, TriCaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You said that name, I didn't.
No. And I don't want to disparage TriCaster or Wirecast, because they're all good products, and they're products.
They are good product. And if I would have had the money, I might have had a TriCaster back before I found VidBlaster. You never know, but I just didn't have the money.
Right.
So I went searching for another solution.
VidBlaster is an excellent entry-level opportunity for folks that want to get into this business and are doing it as a hobby or as a side job. It's just not going to happen that they're going to go out and spend $6,000, $8,000, $12,000 on a TriCaster in most cases.
Right, right.
At least
I also
I'm not.
yeah, I also forgot back in '08 or 2010. This is when I went down with the Ustream, and I did the Women's Ranch Rodeos World Finals down in Lyons, Kansas, and I did that one by myself. I went down, you're always talking about one guy, one camera, and one computer. And I went down there with one computer, my headset, one camera. I was the play-by-play guy. I was the cameraman, and I was doing the video stuff. I didn't have VidBlaster back then because I only had the one camera. And I did their World Finals with one camera. I was stressed out by the end of the time, but
I bet you were worn out too. Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure.
It was fun. I kind of like the pressure.
Now, when you do a remote venue like that, and you're set up with your StreamBreeze PC and VidBlaster and your TVs that are set up in different places, tell me a little bit how you have VidBlaster configured and what's your BPS rates and resolutions, and give us kind of some of the technical part of it for a second. Tell us how you do that.
Well, you're still limited, with whatever. It all comes back to your internet and your bandwidth. So that's the first thing you always got to check with. And from there, I set up. I usually stream out, as long as the internet's good. I stream out at the 640 by 360 on the webcast.
Okay.
Because through VidBlaster and you can get the video quality still pretty darn good where people can see it at that.
Sure.
But what I also do then is I record it, but I record it. I think 1280 by whatever
720.
720, I think.
Okay.
That way I can come in and break it down for the gals who want to watch their runs, or for me to email them. I can get them good quality on DVD. So, that's that's the neat thing I like about it. You can stream it out to get your resolution for the webcast,
right?
But you can record it at the high resolution, or you can even record it uncompressed or whatever.
Yeah.
At full deal.
Right.
And then you can pull it into your Adobe Premiere or whatever pro video software you use to edit, and edit it from there. So that's the way I do it, because I want to make sure when I send off a DVD that it's the best quality that I can to send it to them.
Right.
So that's another thing I like about VidBlaster. You've got them options, and and then our CDN that we use, I think same one you use, we use the cast.
Right.
And the story I think I told you a little bit about the cast was when we did the WPR World Finals, talking about streaming and bandwidth. I bought 500 gigabytes of bandwidth thinking that would get me through the weekend.
Yeah.
And it was a 3-day event. I started Friday morning. Friday night I ran out. I had to go on and buy some more bandwidth, and by the end of the time, I don't know, we was 1,900 and some megabytes, 1.9 gig of bandwidth, and I had over 9,000 viewers that weekend, so that just blew my mind.
You were a victim of your own success. Yeah.
But that goes to show you, though, by using a good CDN like the Cast, they can handle it.
Right.
And what I liked about them is I also had 500 gigabytes on backup just in case there was no interruption,
Right.
So you always got to do your homework and make sure you got your back end covered with that back end covered with something, because something's always going to happen.
Right.
You just got to be ready.
All right. So we give the Cast another good mark.
Big. Yeah. And I just, it's neat. I was telling you, I think when I was watching your show, I found them like a week before you talked about or had the Cast guy on.
Right.
And when I seen that, I think it was a few days later, I went with them. So
good.
There's a good plug for you for DeCast.
Good choice. Now you're using, yeah, definitely good plug. We got to talk to them about a sponsorship one day.
There you go. You need to.
That's right. And while we're talking about sponsorships, tell me about some of the sponsors that you've got and how that works, because that's really cool too. And folks pay close attention. I mean, this guy Ken is out there in Valentine, Nebraska. You can see the edge of the earth from Valentine, Nebraska. And he's getting sponsors, so there's no excuse why you can't get sponsors. Ted, give us the story.
I'll correct you. You can't see the edge of the earth from Valentine, Nebraska. All you see is sand. We're in the sand. We're in the sand hills. Cherry County's bigger than a couple states. if you can believe it.
Okay.
And we're right here in the middle. And I mean, I think my closest town to drive to is in Nebraska, is 47 miles from me. So
Wow.
we're out here in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
But, anyway, I went off on something. What was I going to talk about?
Sponsors. Tell me about sponsors. Yeah.
I've got some corporate sponsors on this year that I picked up this year, and one of them is Signature Quarters, which you see the hat right there. Let me plug for them. They are a horse trailer living quarters. They custom put living quarters in these horse trailers that these gals travel around, and they're just absolutely, it's like a home away from home. And they came on, and they also built, it's not here, but I've got a booth that I travel with when I do these shows. It's made out of solid oak, and Signature Quarters made that for me, where two of us, me and another announcer, can get behind it, kind of like you see when you go, watch a sporting event. And then I got, of course, Discount Western Wear, Young's Western Wear. We broadcast out of here. When I pitched it to them, and I promote them everywhere I go. And in return, they give me the internet, they give me the electricity, they give me a roof over my head. And then I got EquiPride. EquiPride is a horse supplement, and they actually feed for horses.
Okay.
And they've been on with me for more than 2 years, actually, because they also sponsor. I do a weekly show with a pro barrel racer called Talking with Tana, and her name is Tana Papineau, and they sponsor that show as well. So sponsorships, they're out there. That it's not easy to find sometimes, but you just got to think outside of the box sometimes, and all they can say is no. It doesn't hurt nothing to ask them.
Well, and I would think if I were the purveyor of all things cowboy, if I were head of Young's Western Wear, and suddenly an arm of my business sort of is out there broadcasting rodeos and barrel racing, I mean, those are my customers. That's my customer base right there.
Yeah, perfect fit.
If they can't make it to my 20,000 square foot store to buy something in person, I'll ship it anywhere in the United States for $11.95. I mean,
there you go.
Wow.
And I'm a walking billboard for them sponsors when I go, because when I go, I have Discount Western Wear patch here. I got a Signature Quarters patch here or on my back, either one, and then I got an EquiPride patch. So even though I'm not live on the radio or live on the webcast, when I'm walking around mingling with people, they're still on me. I still showing them off.
Right.
So,
right.
Just little things you can do for them.
Well, I hope you have a Spur Radio patch on too.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, don't miss out on promoting yourself.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
well, trust me, with my booth there, with the big Spur Radio sign and the TV setup, they know I'm there.
Gotcha. Exactly.
Yep.
That's great. Yep. That's great. Now, oh golly, there was something I wanted us to talk about just a minute ago. Oh boy, a brain is a terrible thing to waste. I tell you what, we were going off on sponsors, and it had something to do with.
Well, we're working on this. Maybe it was something. We're working on that sponsorship for the tour we're working on for next year.
Oh, tell us about that.
I'm trying to put together an 18-week tour for barrel. There's a barrelbash.com, which is a barrel racing producer, puts on 18 barrel racing events in 8 states here in the Midwest, and it's 18 weekends. And I'm trying to get the sponsorships put together to cover all 18 of those weekends to go broadcast. And I'm going to call it the 2013 Barrel Bash Tour on Spur Radio.
Wow.
And I actually got a guy out a friend of mine out in Colorado Springs, Colorado, who happens to be Tana Papineau's agent, helping me sell the sponsorship, was Mike Donnell with Donnell Rodeo Promotions. And we're trying to get this put together where we can bring all of her events live to the internet in 2013.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So hopefully, if you want to be a sponsor of SpurRadio.com, get a hold of me at Ken at SpurRadio.com, and we'll hook you up.
Well, and that's exactly right. And coming on and doing shows like this, you just never know who's going to be watching. And if you're in the barrel racing business, supplying some part of that or supplying things to people that do that, what better way to be in front of the audience? Because you're going to have thousands and thousands of viewers after 18 weeks, folks are going to be tuning in every week to see how it's going. It's going to be huge, Ken. That's great.
Eric I was just glanced, I forgot about the chat, and Eric was asking something about sponsors over there. Just got to go after, got to ask them.
Well, and let's unpack that for just a second. And all right, so you need to get a few more sponsors for your barrel racing tour. You don't have to name names, but how would you approach somebody? What would you say to them? Would you email them? Would you call them? Would you write them? Would you show up on their doorstep? Tell us how you work. What works for you?
That's a good question, because in the economy right now, it's tough. It's tough to get sponsors.
Right.
So you got to be able to get a package in front of them that makes it worth their while.
Right.
And when we did, going down, it was kind of a, the WPRA World Finals, I went and did that for the simple fact, they got me down in price a little bit, but I wasn't going to let it go because I needed that for PR too. So now I've got that 9,000 viewer number in my arsenal. Say, hey, these barrel racers are the people that watch.
Right.
We're going to try and do 18 of them. When we did this event back in August, we had over 9,000 people come on that can see the products of the sponsors that weekend. So, you got to do a little background, and you got to do a little, legwork. I've been doing this for 3 years to get my name out there before, finally starting to get a little payoff here. So it's something you're not going to be able to just jump in and think somebody's going to sponsor it. You got to get out there and you got to prove to them first, and then you got to get the numbers, and because that's the first thing they ask. Well, how many people's going to see it? Now I can say, well, possibility of 9,000 people in 3 days.
And if you were just starting out, well, you shared with me earlier, when you were starting out, you did it for free.
Did it for free for a year.
And you got an audience, you got a following.
Yep.
And then you had a track record.
Yep.
And you were recognized in the industry as the go-to guy for that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was your investment. You didn't have $100,000 to invest, but you had your time and your energy and your know-how. And you substituted that for the $100,000 and became the go-to guy. That's awesome.
And it was still basically ran it as a hobby too, because I still had a full-time job and my wife still had a full-time job.
Right.
So, I still had money there, but, I just couldn't rely on the Spur radio to make my money, because you got to work it out. You got to work at it. It's just something that isn't going to happen overnight in this business.
Right. Now, you also, part of you I'm tongue-tied now. I'm so excited about all the stuff we're talking about. You had an opportunity to bring your knowledge of internet broadcasting to your home church as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
That was actually the very first setup I ever did. Was for our church, and it was another deal. I went to the board meeting. I tend to do this. I got to quit doing it, because I said, we ought to put our services on the internet. You know how to do it? Yeah, heck, we can do her. And I went home and figured that one out too. But and we use I think there they use what is this, Sermoncast.
Sermoncast, right?
Yeah, and I think it's like, I don't know, they pay $49 a month or something. But anyway, that's where I started. That was my very first setup, was in the church, which I think might have been what caught my eye on you, because you do a lot of videos talking about the church setup and stuff, and more and more churches are doing that. And what a perfect place to start, if you have a church. It was for me. That's where I learned the basics, and I still got a long ways to go, but that if you want to get out there and think that you want to start this, and you got a home church that ain't broadcasting live, I highly recommend that. That would be a great place to start.
Yep.
You don't have to talk. You don't have to do it. You set the camera up and let the preacher do his stuff.
Right.
And then you figure it out in the background. So that's a good place to start.
And you get the basics too, because you have to deal with audio. So you're bringing in the house audio, the audio that's there in the church. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with video, and it doesn't take long before you get tired of using one camera. So you say, okay, well, I got to have multiple cameras. I want a wide shot, I want a tight shot here, and I want a tight shot there. And they don't even have to be manned cameras, but you need something like VidBlaster. So you go out and get VidBlaster home version in order to do it, so you can switch cameras. And then you want to record it, and you want to stream it, and then you get tied up with the cast, or in this case, what was it, Sermoncast? Is that what you said?
Sermoncast, I believe it is.
Sermoncast.org, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and you're putting all the same pieces together that you would use in a talk show broadcast or a sports broadcast, the same kind of basic pieces, but it can be done with just one person pretty easily.
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
require a whole cadre of folks to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Definitely.
that's a good starting spot. I mean, that's you start with the basics, and then you can build from there. And I don't know, trial and error, as you know, Tom. Trial and error is probably what I live by.
Well, trial and error and success and knowledge. I mean, they're really,
Mm-hmm.
trial and error doesn't do it justice because with the trial and error comes the knowledge, and with the knowledge comes the success. The story on Thomas Edison was, what was it, 1,000 tries to try to invent the light bulb?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody asked him, and he said, "Well, now I know 1,000 ways that don't work."
Yep,
That-
exactly. And I know 1,000 ways how not to use VidBlaster, I think. No, I mean, it's you just that's all you can do. You just the main thing is when you're not live is learn how to run the software and learn different things about it. Go to people like you and the forum and that's what I love about the internet. I tell those people there's so much there that you can go find. When I need to do something in graphics in Photoshop, I'm not a graphics guy and I don't know how to run Photoshop, but I can go to YouTube and somebody does and they've made a video on it, and I can figure it out. So
Ken,
it's
you are absolutely the perfect example of what's happening in the internet broadcasting world today. Is you've got a passion for something, um, and you're not intimidated by not necessarily knowing what you need to know because you can figure it out. And
mm-hmm.
you did the work, figured out the website, you figured out the radio, you figured out the broadcasting. You've got a pattern and a history, and now you've got the confidence that comes with doing all that to say, well, I can take on this next challenge. Sure, I can. I can organize an 18-week tour of barrel racing and broadcasting all of it. Holy cow, man!
Let's hope. We're working on it. Hopefully that'll fall together too.
Well, and tell us if you can, without sharing any trade secrets. Tell us what you're thinking of, what your thinking is as you're developing this barrel racing thing. I mean, are you going to be promoting it, or are you going to count on the barrel racer promoter to promote the video too? Is he get a piece of the action, or share what you're comfortable sharing about that?
Well, there again, you got to put all the pieces of the puzzle together before you go out after it. And one of the biggest pieces of my puzzle is I've hooked up with a website called barrelhorseworld.com. And everybody that is a barrel racer goes to that website. And so I hook up with them and promote through them. And actually, they play these barrel racing videos. I can give them my embed code, and they put it right on barrelhorseworld.com as well. And that's one of the big reasons why the barrel racing works. I mean, they've got such a following and so many of them out there. But you got to connect and advertise or get to the places where those people are so they can find you.
Right.
And what bigger place to go to than barrelhorseworld.com? I mean, they get 50,000 people a day, I think, barrel racers that go to that place.
Oh my goodness.
It's unbelievable.
That's huge.
If you're a barrel racer, you know about barrelhorseworld.com. I mean, they're selling horses on there, your trailers. They got forums for the barrel racers to chat on. They're chatting about my broadcast when I'm broadcasting because they're watching it and chatting about it in a forum.
Oh my goodness.
And so you got to get all your pieces put together before you go out and put something like this together. And I've got like I said, the guy out in Colorado helping me, for everything, to get the sponsorship side of things. And the neat thing about VidBlaster, we are basically with VidBlaster a great alternative for TV because it's so much affordable to be able to webcast these events, and the viewership that you can gain on the webcast is a lot bigger than TV. TV is limited to this area if you've got cable or whatever. Sure, satellite's out there, but you're not going to get in on the satellite. When we did the University of Nebraska Rodeo, I had 4 or 5 people from South Africa chatting with us, thanking us for putting the rodeo on spurradio.com. I mean, it's unbelievable the reach you can get at a fraction of the cost.
Now, will Discount Western Wear ship to South Africa?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Worldwide.
There you go.
So yeah, you got to do your homework, but at the same time, that people are realizing, I think, more and more video and internet. It's going to get big. It's huge now, but we've just touched it. I think we've just touched it.
Right, and certainly there are people like Netflix and YouTube that are generating, hundreds of thousands or probably millions of views a day. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about taking I'm not going to say barrel racing is obscure, but I'll say it's a specialized, fairly narrow niche of sporting event. And taking this narrow niche of sporting event and now making it available worldwide for not a whole lot of money.
Exactly. And what people need to, what I keep telling sponsors, and people are asking me about sponsorships in the chat, the potential of the reach for the amount of money that you spend for a sponsorship on a webcast is a fraction of the cost that you will spend for that sponsorship on television.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And your reach can be so much bigger because I record this. When I do a barrel race, I record it, and then I put it on my YouTube channel.
Right.
I also archive it on my website, so it's there. It's always that sponsorship and those video commercials that now I use with VidBlaster and those graphic overlays of the companies, they're always there. And that's what the sponsors want to see is those numbers.
Gotcha. I want to give a shout out to Eric Chilton, who's watching us live, and he's in the chat room. Eric has got a very cool internet show that he does that I guess is starting soon, a weekly show that interviews folks that were involved in some of the older TV shows. And
cool.
the website, the show is called Wait, I Know This, and it's waitiknowthis.com. And so you want to go there, and he's been doing this as a podcast, as an audio podcast for 4 years, and he's now bringing it into video, and we'll be bringing in some of the guests. I think Shirley Jones from the Partridge Family will be his guest. He's going to launch it in a couple of weeks. So make a note of that if you're thinking if you have any interest in old TV shows. Waitiknowthis.com. It's Eric Chilton.
That's cool.
And he'll be using VidBlaster to do it. So you just never know.
Another idea out there coming in.
That's right. That's right. All right. I remember what it was I remembered earlier ago because I'm always keyed into the money because it's the money that greases the wheels, the money that makes this happen. And if you've got income coming in, then you can spend money to improve your setup or to go places you wouldn't be able to go or to buy bigger, faster, whatever.
Right.
And you're doing something really cool that I don't want to let us slip by. And I noticed it when I went to your website, spurradio.com, and I went to the archives. And in the archives, you've got archived, I don't know how many pay-per-view or viewing on demand, VOD, pay-per-views of barrel racing, I guess. So if I was out there barrel racing and I forgot to buy a DVD and I didn't get to go see it on the recording later on, I can go to your website and pay, $3 and watch my barrel race again. And I think DeCast is hosting that for you too, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They've got an excellent pay-per-view deal, and that's just another way to bring in some income. I put up. See, the way the barrel racers, like at the WPR World Finals, you had a fraternity race that had 70-some barrel racers. Then you had
whoa! Hold on, stop right there. How many?
70-some. That's
70.
Just a small race.
Holy cow, that's a small race.
When I did the bonus race finals, I did 600 barrel races a day for 3 days.
600 a day.
Yeah, I took my oldest
at $3
and my youngest
a piece.
son.
That's eight.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I took my oldest son and my youngest son, and they were my cameraman. The main camera. The other two were the other two cameras I had set up on each barrel.
Okay.
And so when they'd come into barrel one, I'd switch the camera one and I'd give them a tight turn, showing them around that barrel. Then I'd switch to camera 2 and give them a tight turn around that barrel. Then I'd go to camera 3, which was one of my boys running, and then they'd get around the third barrel, and then they would take it all the way out. And we got all done with that, and Dad, I think it was Nick, my oldest, said, "Dad, I don't really care if I ever see another barrel race again."
It's grueling for a camera person.
It is. But you know what? They did her, and they got lots of compliments. And I thought that's another way to save money. I didn't have a cameraman. I took my boys, and they're learning how to run a camera.
And what great experience for them. Sure.
Yep. And my whole family goes when we did WPRA World Finals. Got their homework made up, and we took a little mini vacation. And I took me, my wife, my 2 boys, and my daughter, and we went down there and did the broadcast. So. I don't know if they enjoyed it as much as I do, but we we went down there and we stayed together. We were together for the weekend. That's
right.
The main thing.
Well, and maybe you need to do a little cross training, and you run a camera and let them run the switcher. And
I did. My 5th grader ran VidBlaster. I went over and ran the camera for a while.
All right, hold on. Say that again.
My 5th grader says, "Dad, I can do that." He's kind of like me. I'm finding out he's sitting there watching me, and he says, "Dad, can I run that?" And I said, "Buddy, you better not, man. This is live." And his dad, "I can do it." So my older boy was on the other camera, so I jumped behind him and I watched him. And by golly, he was switching cameras just perfect. And it got to where every 5 runs they rake the arena, so every girl has the dirt is same level field for everybody.
Right.
So after every 5 runs, that's when I can play my commercials, my videos for my sponsors. And without telling him, I was getting ready to tell him, he clicked up, hit the video, and started playing the commercial. So my 5th grade, it's kind of like that show. What is that? Smarter than a 5th grader?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep. That's amazing. And that, as a VidBlaster reseller, that's one of the things that I find is true when folks come to me and want to purchase VidBlaster for themselves. They've already downloaded and tried out the trial version, which is free. And by the way, folks, you can get it at vidblaster.com. And they say, and I say, "What do you like about it? Why are you picking VidBlaster over some of the competition?" And they'll say, "Well, it's so easy to use. It's intuitive. It thinks the way I think. If I want to turn a camera on, I just click it, and that camera comes on. It's like magic." And that is indeed one of the strengths of VidBlaster. But it's kind of a multi-layer deal. You've got kind of that easy layer of VidBlaster where all you have to do is click on that to make that happen. But then there's all this power below the surface where you can combine modules. I mean, what you're looking at right now is a combination of 3 or 4 different modules. There's actually a green screen behind me that we've taken out and put in with this blue background. And I'm a picture-in-picture, and you're a picture-in-picture. And then we put the whole thing together, and with a screen capture from Skype, I mean, it's
amazing.
Amazing what you can do once you get below it's like building blocks. You've got this block, and you got that block, and you got another block, and you've got 3 blocks. But how many different ways can you put them together?
Yeah, it's not a webcast anymore. It's a production.
Yes.
It's a web production. It's right up there with your TV.
But it can be as simple as you want it to be.
Exactly.
It
simple you can build it as you want to build it, I guess. You can be either one camera as simple as you want to be, or you can be multi-cameras and as many graphics as you want to be. That's what I like about it. And heck, I learn something new every week about it.
It's good stuff. There's no doubt.
It is.
All right, let me check through my notes and see if we've covered all the topics here, because we've gone around all of. Oh, you're doing. Did I mention, or did you mention before that your Spur radio is actually 24/7?
24/7, except when I do that VidBlaster guy.
Gotcha. So Spur radio is not on right now because we don't steal all the bandwidth.
That's another reason I should point out. Reason I did that was because you need to make sure you do your background on your internet connection. And my upload speed, I don't think would have been able to still push out the audio for the Spur radio and do this show with you live.
Right.
Because we're limited on our internet out here in Valentine, Nebraska.
Right.
So that's why I cut it. I told everybody to be down for a couple hours while I do this show. But when it's on, otherwise it runs 24/7, whether I'm here or not, and it's playing top country music. It's still a radio station.
That's cool. That's cool. And how much does that cost you to do?
The radio now?
Yeah.
I got to pay royalty fees on the radio. I got to pay to play their music. So
Okay.
you just can't go out there and play it. So
Right.
I've got ASCAP and all that
Right.
that I got to send in for the royalty fees. But
Right.
Other than that, my broadcast software I use is for the radio. It's all set up and it automatically plays it for me. Is Sam Broadcaster, and I've got, I don't know, 10, 11,000 songs in there that I've accumulated over the years, and probably 2,000 country songs in there now, and I've got it set up where it just randomly brings them in and mixes it for me. It's another one of those software deals that's does all the work for you once you figure it out.
And it plays commercials periodically?
I can put in commercials. You can even actually bring in, I never got into it. I always make my own, but there's programs out there that you can actually bring in national sponsors that they've got on websites, and I don't know how that works, but it'll pull into Sam Broadcaster and play it.
Oh, wow.
And then you get money off of it, I think.
Cool.
But
okay,
I got enough I'm trying to figure out. I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, that's right. There are too many exciting things. It's like a kid in a candy shop. I understand.
Oh, it is. And
yeah.
it's you got to watch yourself. Sometimes I give my kids a bad time. They need to get out in front of that TV and go outside and run around. And I got to take my own advice and say, get out in front of that computer and go outside and smell the roses.
Indeed.
Yep.
Folks, if you just joined us, and I'm sorry, I should have said this earlier. This is Ken Fisbeck with spurradio.com. Ken has got some amazing things going on. And if you're just joining us live, I'll have this uploaded in a little while so you can watch the beginnings of it. But Ken is working with a local store in his town of Valentine, Nebraska, called Young's Western Wear. And Young's Western Wear, he helped them develop their e-commerce site, so now they can sell their Western wear literally all over the world. And they sponsor Spur Radio, which broadcasts barrel racing and rodeos. And, we're internet here, so it's being broadcast all over the world. A perfect combination with their e-commerce website to be able to broadcast all over the world for people who are interested in their products all over the world. They've been recognized by New York Times as the purveyor of all things cowboy. And so what an interesting synergy of all these things coming together. So if you have got a bricks and mortar store somewhere, consider e-commerce, consider setting up a whole broadcasting wing of your store that can broadcast in the areas, if it's fashion, if it's bicycles, if it's, whatever, there's got to be an audience for it. You just have to consider how that is. And Ken has done a great job of putting all the pieces together. I'm sure it's one of these things, Ken, where if you'd say, did you sit back and plan this whole thing out? No, it just sort of one thing led to the next,
Mm-hmm.
and before you know it, you're planning an 18-week tour of broadcasting barrel racing all over the West.
Doing women's professional rodeos world finals. It's amazing how the start of just wanting to do a radio station has come to where it has come today. But there's a lot of work and a lot of support out there. And like you said, my biggest support, and it couldn't have happened without Mike Young here at Young's Western Wear. He put the backing in there and helped me out and got things going, and it just fit, you know. So sky's the limit.
Sounds like a great fit. All right, now what's going to come after the big 18-week tour?
I don't know. Maybe we'll go after NASCAR or something.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know who knows what'll happen.
There are a ton of short tracks around this country.
Yes, there is.
They are begging to be broadcast.
I've been approached. Sorry to jump in there, but I've been approached to do that I ought to do motocross racing. Like you do. You do soccer.
Right.
I did a couple clear back. I never mentioned this either, but I guess I did a couple local football games.
Really?
Just for fun.
Okay.
And I think I might try a basketball game. My son's in basketball, so I might go try and do a basketball game. That'll be fun. You got the VidBlaster has their scoreboard module and all that. So it just fits.
Yeah. Good. Cool.
I don't know what I'm going to do, Tom, but I'll let you know.
Good. Well, keep me informed. This is good stuff.
I will. Hey, I appreciate it because, I'm glad that you and I've got to hook up. I've watched your videos, and I thought your show is awesome. And what a great guy you are. You know, I really appreciate talking to you, and thanks for everything. You've helped me out more than you know, believe me.
Well, I'm delighted to be able to do that. It's really fun, and it's fun to hear the passion in your voice. And you have given me, a whole month's worth of ideas to sit down and map out on paper. And I'm thinking, okay, bricks and mortar store, e-commerce, broadcasting, all that's working together. There's a whole new way of operating a business when you throw broadcasting into it. I'm really excited about that, Ken. That's a huge idea, and 10, 15 years from now, you and I are going to look back and when everybody's doing it and it's the rage, we're going to say that was Ken's idea.
Yeah.
It's right there on the show. That was Ken's idea. Yep.
Well, people just got to dream, That's what the American way is about. Reach for the stars and dream, and there's a lot of possibilities out there. You just got to go out and go after it.
Yep. Indeed. All right, folks. I think we've about come to the end of our hour here, and so we're going to have to close out. But if you're watching us live, hang around for the post show, and we're going to set up a little video chat where we can all get on there. So if you want to talk to Ken, we'll do that. But this has been That VidBlaster Guy. I'm Tom Sinclair. My guest today has been Ken Fisbeck with Spur Radio. And we hope you'll join us again next week on That VidBlaster Guy. It'll be next Tuesday, and we'll be on at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 o'clock London Time, and available in the archives thereafter. If you missed this show, if you missed the first part of this show, we will have it uploaded to YouTube shortly, and you can watch it then. We'll see you next time.